Hello everyone, welcome to the Green Man channel. Hope you're all good and well. We're here for our third episode of the Shoegaze Files with another special guest, a new guest on the channel. We got Sam Mortley here from Shoegazer 93,
Hi.
a YouTube channel where he covers all things shoegaze, and you've got things on there like live coverage of bands, his own music as well, and other shoegaze content as well worth checking out. So highly recommend you subscribe to his channel. But what we're doing today, the topic we're going to be covering is our favorite shoegaze albums from the last 10 years. And so we're going to just have a quick chat first about the modern scene, and then we'll be picking 5 albums each of our favorites from that sort of roughly that period of time, about the last decade. And Sam, I think you can kick us off. So how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for inviting me to this channel, this chat.
You're very welcome.
So yeah, my thoughts on the 2010s shoegaze scene. I mean, obviously that was when I got into it, being quite a youngster, being still in my 20s, just about. the dreaded 30 coming in November.
Pretty envious of you. I'm already well into my 30s.
But yeah, I just thought like the genre, the scene, the style reached its zenith in this decade, and I think there were a number of reasons for that. I think definitely like the online, the way we consume music online through YouTube and Bandcamp, like all of that really, it shone a light, really. It shone a light on the scene and allowed these bands to be heard. And I just think maybe like stuff like the political climate at the time, you know, with like the politics and stuff being pretty dreadful and all this sort of confused world, you know, with you know, the left and right wing kind of, you know, arguments flying everywhere, and maybe people wanted to delve into you know, they needed something that was like all
An
enveloping
outlet for the stress of it.
Yeah, some sort of breather from it.
Yeah, I liked the point that before we went live, I liked the point you were making about comparing it to the Impressionist movement, what you were saying. I really liked
Yeah,
that comparison that you were making.
yeah, I was saying about I think there's parallels between the shoegaze movement and, you know, not to sound pretentious, but there's definitely parallels between the scene and impressionist art in the 1880s, late 19th century, with, you know, Monet, Manet, Renoir, Bizarro, because it's like the lyrics aren't up front. You're not really given like straight meanings. You have to kind of work it out yourself, and it's more of a vibe and a feel to
Yeah,
shoegaze rather
exactly.
than, yeah, rather than this like big message. It's kind of like you're making, you know, you're having your own soothing comfort, and where you can have time to think, and you can make your, you know, your own visions in your head and whatever. Really,
Exactly.
it's a
Yeah.
big mood changer as well. You know, it can make you feel good. I mean, a lot of it's melancholic, obviously, but you know, I think that it can help you find yourself as well. Although some
Yeah.
is uplifting as well. You know, like
Yeah.
Going Blank Again by Ride or something is quite uplifting.
Yeah. I find that
Or Lush or something.
it's it's definitely not one mood. I think it's interesting how you do have certain albums that will be mostly very melancholic, and others that will mix it up a bit more than others. You know, some dream pop albums you can dance to. You know, they're more upbeat and more up tempo. So, well, this is what I've found recently with some of the dream pop albums I've been getting into more recently. But yeah, talking a bit about the modern scene we've had for about the last kind of 10 years, 10, 15 years. I mean, it was interesting when I was looking back through some of my picks, and I realized, or some of these bands were formed in about the late 2000s, early 2010s. And to me, that suggests that there is people talking about this revival, which I've mentioned in a couple of other shoegaze related videos, I guess, on the channel as well. But it does feel like there's a bit of evidence there. There has been a revival, certainly in terms of bands. I mean, it's not exactly in the mainstream, but it's out. It feels like it's been making a bit of a comeback, at least for the last kind of decade and a half, I guess.
Yeah, I think oh yeah, I just wanted to finish my point on the impressionism thing as well.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's also comparative as well to the impressionist movement, because like the distortion with the guitars is kind of like, it's not like defined, is it? Like it's not intricate like a painting is by like Monet or Manet. It's all that kind of, you know, wishy-washy, and you know.
Yeah,
So there's
it's
that
deliberately
parallel.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's, you know, it's like a bit of rebellion, and it's something that's had to take time to be accepted. You know, the same way that Impressionism was always like looked down upon by the previous movement. It's kind of the
Yeah.
same as shoegaze. It took time for people to latch onto it and for it to get more popular.
Mm. Yeah,
And
definitely.
yeah, so um talking about your points there about, you know, these bands and stuff, a lot of them have been around since the 2000s. Like Ariel would be a great example. I mean, that Winks and Kisses, when you're talking to Nathaniel, Glass Stained Stories, you know, I love that album, or, you know, collection of EPs. I think that's one of the things that really got me into it back in the early days, that In Your Room song.
Yeah,
And
an unbelievable
is it
song,
Shirley Temple, Tidal Wave, isn't it? That's one of the other big tracks.
one of them, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, and I think the reunions helped. That's my main point there. I think with MBV coming back, releasing that self-titled one in 2013, and then you had like Slow Dive suddenly jumped on the bandwagon, and then Ride announced their reunion at the end of 2014,
Yeah.
and then finally Lush.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? And
Yeah,
and now I've
and like
mentioned Hum and bands like that a little bit as well. And
mm,
yeah,
yeah, and Swerve Driver,
Swerve Driver.
and they've released two albums, haven't they? With I Wasn't Born to Lose You, and the other one, Future Ruins. And you know, and Ride did the same. They've released two albums, and Lush only got an EP out, unfortunately. We would have loved to have seen more from them.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hopefully, we might see some more. I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll get one from My Bloody Valentine. I've kept my fingers crossed about Slow Dive
Yeah,
getting one out. You know, reasonably soon. But
never know with Mystique Kevin Shields. I mean, he said he was going to bring out stuff in like 2018, and it never came to fruition there. I mean, I don't know what they do. Maybe they have like a big part-time job, and they must have something going on to be occupied away from the music.
maybe that's it. I mean, everyone has other maybe aspects to their lives, and because I also I mean MBV and Slow Dive. I saw that they tweeted they were working on LP5 last year, I think. So I'm
Yeah,
keeping my fingers crossed. I think
like
their last album got me. I got so into that it's led me to just being very excited about whatever they've got next. Yeah, exactly.
got a big collection beside me
On
here.
cue.
Yeah, it's good to show the albums as well as talking about it. I think
Exactly. Yeah.
it gives the
I've
viewers
I've got a couple.
ideas.
I've got a couple of them. Unfortunately, I
Yeah.
don't own quite a few of them on CD though. But yeah.
I
Anyway.
saw Slow Dive in Bath this last year in May.
Oh,
They played in Bath, which is, you know, I'm from Plymouth, so anywhere that's like Bristol,
Southwest.
yeah. Normally Bristol is the nearest port of call for me for gigs. So I've
Yeah, I
seen
guess
quite a
that's where
few
they all go,
there.
isn't it? So
Yeah,
they
I've
don't
seen.
go as far as Plymouth then, most of them.
No, none of them do. I mean, like
Okay.
Slow Crush were meant to play Torquay at a festival, and that was
Okay.
the closest a shoegaze band has like ever been. But they actually they cancelled it. But luckily, I'm going to see them in Bristol this year.
All right.
Yeah, Slow Crush, really
Cool.
good band.
Okay. So shall we move on to our picks? Are you ready for
Yeah,
that? So
yeah, we can do.
do you wanna start with your I think
Yeah.
you said you might have some honorable mentions there as well. So feel free just to kick off with your maybe your own mentions. If you just want to go
All
through all
right.
of yours, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, well, I'll be very quick with the honorable mentions. So I'm not going to elaborate too much because obviously it's only we only got a 30-minute
I know, yeah, the
time
old
limit.
Zoom limit. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I would say stuff like this Exit Calm, which is a British band in the style of like old school Verve. They definitely got this kind of Verve feel to them. Like the front man's very like Richard Ashcroft, where, you know, he's kind of like a bit kind of shouty, but like passionate and spiritual, you know.
Okay.
And they've got a guitarist that's just, he always just slaps on the delay, and it's just beautiful. really like single notes and delayed and creating this big
Nice.
atmosphere, the typical sound.
Sounds good.
But yeah,
I definitely
excellent
don't know
cover.
that one.
Yeah, definitely worth checking out.
What's the title of the album there?
Oh yeah, this is the future isn't what it's meant to be.
Okay.
No, the future isn't what it's used to be. That's it.
And what it used to be. Okay.
What isn't? Yeah.
I'll have to
I
put them
think
up in the description afterwards.
and
Pretty
that's on the Club AC30 label, which is what Ringo Death Star are on that label as well.
Ah,
Oh yeah, and
okay, yeah,
Flying Colors are, so two big bands there.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think
both
20,
both good bands.
2015, I believe. Another one would be another British band is 93 Million Miles from the Sun.
Okay, another one I don't know. Yeah,
But they've been around since 2007.
okay,
Guy called Nick Noble is the front man, and they're
okay,
very much more in the fuzzy kind of side of things.
okay.
Their albums are just very distorted, saturated. Really,
Okay.
instead of the reverb, instead of the dream pop style, they really go for the MBV Love Lies Crushing kind of style.
Okay, gotcha.
But yeah, I think that the guy one of the guitarists in this band right now, he's mastering my album at the moment because
Oh, really?
I'm working on my own album. Because Breather is my band name. It's just two of
Breather.
us. Yeah, Breather.
Okay.
And the album's going to be called Echo Dreams.
Oh, do you like that as a title? Good title.
Bit of a shame
That's
to
shoegazy.
self plug there. I feel a bit bad now.
Why not? No, we'll
Right.
definitely plug whilst you got your chance. And
But hopefully it turns out all right. The album. Hopefully it's not too much disappointment. So another
sure on
cheers. Thanks. More honorable mentions. You got Ride with this is not a safe place, which came out in 2019, and I thought that it was very accurate title, very fitting with the COVID situation. Because it wasn't a safe place, was it, to be anywhere in the world?
very fitting. You got the signatures as well there from the band members.
When I met them, in Oxford, the whole band's on this tour.
Awesome.
The tour, yeah, I think that they are my favorite bands, like probably of all time. Although they're not the shoegaziest band, but just in general, I just think the musicianship and the songwriting is just really great.
It's really good
with Ride. Like, I mean, especially with the early stuff like Nowhere and Today Forever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I might as well crack into my top 5. This was going to be on it, but you took it.
I stole it.
Yeah. All right then. So number 1 is Miniatures with Jessamines. This is from 2017.
Okay. Nice. I like the cover.
Yeah, Australian band.
Okay.
As you mentioned in your previous video, you said there's a big scene in Australia. And
yeah.
This adds to it, to that confirmation. That confirms it.
I bet I like that one. Just the feeling. Sometimes you have a gut feeling about these things.
Yeah, it's a beautiful cover. It's like very 4AD kind of cover, isn't it?
Yeah.
The 4AD record label.
I like it.
Yeah. And maybe it was to do with like Tame Impala, because they were like that kind of psychedelic, but like commercial. Maybe they got the ball rolling in Australia.
Maybe.
But yeah, this is I would say what you want is my favorite track of it, and it's very much like Curve, like Curve, the industrial kind of shoegaze band. It's very much like Curve meets the Cocteau Twins, so it's got this very like, this banging dance kind of drum beat going on like all the time.
I'll probably enjoy that one. I reckon.
Yeah, the drums are very electronic, and the guitars are like distorted. They've got that real like edgy distortion that you get in industrial music. But then they've got the Cocteau kind of the woman singing, the kind of vocal gymnastics, the way she's like gliding up and down the notes, and and they've got the chorus flange guitar as well. So they've got a nice dynamic range there, different sounds.
I do like that sound, like a good chorus and flange sound.
Yeah, so definitely check it out.
Okay.
Moving on to number two. This is one of the comeback albums from one of the early
I
90s
guess
bands.
Swerve Driver. Yeah.
Swerve Driver, I
Yeah.
Wasn't Born to Lose You. It's got 11
And,
tracks on it.
and another meeting with that band as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
How could you tell? Yeah, yeah, I do like, I do like being the fanboy, like going around and speaking to them, and because they're really like, there's no ego in shoegaze. I think because they weren't like big stars or anything, so
Yeah.
they seem like normal guys when you talk to them.
Yeah.
Like the front man, Adam Franklin, we were just talking about effects pedals and like our
Brilliant.
pedal boards for ages. Yeah, he's
Well,
just, you don't expect him to be like that, you think because of their music, you think he's going to be like this kind of like rock and roll, like stoner kind of guy, like
yeah. Yeah. Like,
yeah,
who are
yeah,
you?
man,
Who are
like
you?
or like Jay Mascis or something, just really kind of spaced out. But
Yeah.
then he talks about football and stuff, like it's
Yeah.
really, yeah, it's like a different,
Down to earth is always nice when you
yeah,
get musicians that are just down to earth and
mm,
yeah, and not sort of too up in the
yeah.
air.
So I'd say main tracks from this, I Wonder, which is the final track, the really good closer, which kind of ascends in the noise. The noise kind of ascends and ascends until it reaches the climax, like
I like the sound of that.
primal by Slow Dive, that kind of thing,
Oh yeah.
where the effects are just, they add on and on, like creating more textures. And Autodidact, the first track, is a really good radio hit.
Okay.
I actually I played that on my radio show earlier today.
Today.
Yeah. Okay, number three is Flying Colors with Mindfulness. This is another Australian band. I don't know if you heard of them.
I do. I have heard of Flying Colours. Yeah. I
Yeah, because
haven't checked out much of their stuff.
I think they got a lot of exposure by like Radio 6, especially for their single, which is on the EP before this, called Wavy Gravy.
They've got something coming out this year, right?
Yeah, yeah, I just saw that on Facebook earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, like March time, they got their third album.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't go much on the second one actually, the Fantasy Country, I think it's called. Just, I don't know, just didn't think the songs were there really, but this is fantastic, one of the best of the decade. Songs like, so my highlights would be It's Tomorrow Now, the opening track, Long Holiday, and 1987. I think all of them are really great singles. So yeah. But yeah, they're very upbeat in their style instead of going for the usual melancholy. I would say they're more like the Ride vein, where they've got kind of traditional indie aspects as well, kind of like with the the kind of arpeggio kind of lines and
Yeah. Describing that well, yeah, because I've been trying to think sometimes how I would describe rides, and sometimes I struggle, but I think that's a pretty good
what, like
way. Sort of the traditional indie part
indie.
of it, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
kind of like the Stone Roses influence.
Mm,
Yeah. Beatles as well, obviously, and
yeah,
the Birds are a big influence, aren't they, with the 12-string Rickenbackers?
that's true. Yeah.
So number four is Nothing.
Yeah. Now I nearly picked that one. Yep.
Tired of Tomorrow.
Yep.
I was just
Good album.
laughing because the name's Nothing, so I was like, I'm showing you nothing. Nothing to see here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I caught these guys live at Bristol as well in 2018, and yeah, really
Brilliant.
good.
Yeah, they're a good band.
Yeah,
That
much more.
album was probably, I mean, that was the one, but yeah, I remember that one better than I think the other one I listened to, which I can't remember. But yeah, that
Was that Guilty of Everything by any
yeah,
chance?
I think it was that one.
That's their first one. Yeah, I think that's a bit more heavy. But I thought the great thing about Tide of Tomorrow was that it really blended both sides, where you got heavy tracks and you've got the mellow tracks on
And the
there.
mellow ones as well. Yeah.
The mellow ones are beautiful. I think that's the best songs, like 1990 Heaven, and you've got Our Plague and Everyone is Happy. I think they're my favorite tracks, better than the heavy ones on there.
Cool.
So yeah, definitely check it out, people.
Well,
And number five, finally, is drum roll.
Need a set of drums.
Yeah, is
Oh wow, great pick.
Deserter,
Yeah,
Black Aura, My Son. And yeah, you should be aware of it if you like the dancey drums. And this has got like a synthy, like 80s pop feel to it.
yeah, they very much have that, don't they? Or oh, the name of the guy's gone from my head, but I really liked the album they did last year as well.
Mm. Oh, well, I wrote it down here. It's like
Every
everything you
moment,
want.
everything you need, or something like that. I think it
Yeah.
was called. Um, and I really liked the mix on that one.
Oh yeah, here it is. Yeah, every moment, everything you need.
That's the one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the production on that's fantastic.
Mm.
And that's another thing to say about shoegaze, or another point to make about, it's really undervalued. I think the mixing and the mastering, I think it's a more intricate job than what people think it is. It's not just like whacking on reverb. It's because I've been mixing my own stuff, and it's like you got to start off small and that, at smaller volumes, and then you kind of pump it up in post-production, and you got to try, and it's hard to texture everything and make everything balanced. There's just so much noise and chaos going on. You need somebody like Alan Moulder to sort it out. He's one of the big mixers.
The big producers and mixers. Okay.
Yeah, Alan Moulder. Yeah, he did the I think he got Loveless over the line, and he did Swerve Driver and Cut.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Because they went through a lot of mixers. That's what I read. Yeah, they went through hundreds of engineers or something. Kevin Shields just firing them all the time. Yeah, and I just think that I think playing live and stuff, it's hard to manipulate all the effects like the way you want them to be, unless you've got some really good expression pedal that can change the speed and the tap tempo of everything. It's hard to control all that, and recreate what you do in the studio. So really, I think the bands that can really get close to the studio sounds are probably the most talented ones in a way.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right, that's my 5 picks. It'd be good to hear yours.
Yeah, so okay. I'll get through mine sort of really. So I mean, I didn't have many honorable mentions actually. I mean, the only honorable mentions I've mentioned on the channel quite a bit before. So I wanted to try and pick albums that I've maybe mentioned before, but not as many times as these two. One is Always Anti-Socialites, which is a bit of a dream pop, as well as some shoegaze aspects to that one, I think. And yeah, love that album a lot. And then Slow Dive Self-Titled, which you mentioned, and which I've mentioned too many times on my channel probably now. Yeah, so my picks, the first one I'm just going to share my screen for. Let's do this.
Are you doing all right for time, by the way?
I think we're okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Good.
I think we're good. Okay. So this is Ringo Death Star's Pure Mood. And this came out in 2015. So this came out in Japan in 2015. And then I think came out slightly later in the US in 2016. So yeah, I really like this. This is a bit more, I mean, I always see this band getting compared to My Bloody Valentine, and in almost every article I've read or review on them, but I think they've kind of taken the sound and they have done a bit more with it in a way than those sort of certainly that original My Bloody Valentine album. They're quite catchy, aren't they? More catchy, I'd say, than some of MBV's stuff as well. Yeah, I like this album. I like Frisbee a lot on this one. Frisbee, Big Bopper was a good one. Heavy Metal Suicide, I like that one quite a bit as well.
Guilt is a good one.
That's another good one. Yeah, most of the tracks probably I could just read them out for this album, but yeah, really good one. And yeah, they're from Austin, Texas, aren't they? So good band. So I share for that one.
Yeah, I think everybody's painted with that brush, aren't they, with the MBV kind of comparison?
Yeah, definitely. Next up, we've got, I've had my reminder come up. Your meeting will end in 10 minutes, but I'll get through it. So Pink Shiny Ultra Blast, Everything Else Matters. Love this album a lot. It might even be my favorite album from the year it came out. I think 2015. and they're from St. Petersburg in Russia. And this album, honestly, is just something. I don't think it's. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's addictive as well. Listen to it possibly more times than any of the other albums here. I think maybe it's something addictive about it, and the sound. It's kind of got all of the sound textures are all made to play to their strengths. I think if that makes sense, like the bass, you can really hear it's a very audible bass on this album. I love the sort of ghostly vocals that are kind of like, as with a lot of shoegaze, all their own instrument. You can bop around to some of these tracks. Rave Star Supreme on this one is just immense. Do you know that one?
Yeah,
what a track that one is.
I actually listened to it the other day when I got your email about what albums you were doing. I was refreshing my memory of these, and I think Yumi, I think, is my favorite track from there. But
that's a great one too. Yeah,
the only one album I've got from them would be the one with the egg on it, and I think it's got the Cherry Pits on that one, which is another big single from them. Yeah.
I know. Is that Grand? That might be Grand Feathered or something like that. I think.
Yeah. It's called something like that. Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the next one, and here we go. It's sharing. There we go. Back to Wingo Death Star. So bring up the next one. Here we go. So we've got Dave and Is the Izar. This band I haven't known them that long, actually. So I discovered them through their 2019 album Deceiver. This is probably my favorite out of the 3 albums they've done. I think Ocean's great too. Yep, there we go.
Yeah, I've got Deceiver there.
Deceiver there. And yeah, this is a good, just a really good album, I think, throughout pretty much. It's a bit more of a boppy shoegaze kind of album from 2016. I say boppy shoegaze, it's a little bit dream poppy as well. I like Dopamine, Out of Mind, Take Your Time, Loose Ends, probably 4 of my favorites from that one. And interesting artwork for that album. It's just kind of like a children's drawing, isn't it, or something? That one.
yeah, I like it though. And I went to see them on the tour, Deceiver tour. So I got the T-shirt from that gig, Dive Deceiver, with the band on the front, and then the Bristol date was the first one.
Oh, so that was the first gig that they did.
That was the first gig, yeah. And unfortunately, because COVID happened like literally a month or 2 following that they cancelled the rest of it. And then I think they had a bit of financial difficulty. I remember Zachary Cole, the front man, was like on Facebook saying, I wish I could scream and stuff because we're not getting paid. No one's taking our struggles seriously.
Yeah, it sounded like they've had quite a history in that band as well for the last how many years. They've been about 10 years around. So they formed in I've got here written down 2011. So they've been around for not too long, but they've had a lot happen in that time, I think, that band.
Yeah.
So my next pick, and I really like this next one. So this is by a band called Beef Forest.
Yes, this is where I didn't recognize your last 2 picks.
Yeah, so this is Beef Forest, and the album is called Nocturne with a K. And it's just quite a short album. It's only about half an hour. That's more like EP length, really, isn't it? But it's really super atmospheric. I think some of the genres, it's been described as dark wave as well as shoegaze and that sort of thing. It's more electronic kind of fusion with this album. But I just really enjoy it. I mean, they said when they were making this album, I think that previous albums they've done about places, but this was more just being driven by sort of feeling of a widening abyss or something going further into darkness. So, but it's not, I wouldn't describe this album as depressing though. It's just very sort of like you're in a kind of a dark fairy tale or something, it's very magical but dark at the same time. It's just very atmospheric, that one. Really like that one. They're from Italy as well, this trio. they're a trio from Italy. So sort of shout that one. And yeah, the last one I'm going to mention, whilst we've got a few minutes left, is Asteroid Number 4. Do you know these guys?
No, I didn't
Oh,
know
you
this.
did.
That's
Yeah,
two
you said you
picks.
didn't know the last couple. So this is Tones of the Sparrow. This band's from California. Apparently, though, in fairness, this is one of my picks where this band have been around for about 20 or so years. I think they've been around for a while. And so this is album number, I can't remember actually. I should have done my research on this band, but yeah, maybe album 10 or 11. I think at least they've been around for quite a while. But I think you might like this one.
Yeah, probably.
From the bands you've mentioned that I know, I think you might like this one.
Yeah, I like the cover art.
Tones of the Sparrow by Asteroid Number 4. Because they've got a bit of a classic. There's a bit of, I think, shoegaze mixed with a bit of krautrock and quite some upbeat, very catchy songs. A little bit of fuzzy guitar in a couple of the tracks. A bit more of electronics in some of the others. Five band members, and hopefully, I mean, I'd probably go to see them live if I could. That band, so really good album. Yeah, so those are my 5 picks.
Nice one, fantastic. And I learned a couple of new albums from that list, because I remember I tried to research that B Forest band, and there was only like one video that came up on YouTube, so they're quite obscure.
I think they did a performance on that KEXP.
Okay. Oh yeah, I do like that.
Yeah, they do seem to give coverage to a lot of shoegaze bands and performances and stuff, which is good. So I recommend that sort of channel actually for anyone into shoegaze stuff.
Yeah, I think that's also worth talking about, the channels on YouTube as well.
Yeah, like, absolutely.
Pedal Partners, Luca, his name is. He runs Pedal Partner, and his girlfriend as well hosts some of the programs. I think he's really good. Just goes on about the gear, the equipment used for recording and playing live. And but I do think I think one of the aspects that are missed from some YouTube videos is it'd be good to learn how to mix this stuff, the actual production side of it, rather than just like the pedal work. It would be nice to see how people mix it down and, add the EQ and compression, how they layer the guitars and synths.
Yeah, definitely.
But another great channel is the Shoegazer one, Kenneth Estrada, the German one, where he's got his own guitar with he's got like a synth built into it. Some crazy custom guitar.
That sounds fascinating. It really does. I've got about a minute left on the call, so it's a shame. What I'm going to have to do, I think, is bring you back and have more of a time extension on Zoom at some point, because I don't want to cut you off. But yeah, it's been really good having you on. We've really sort of
thanks. Yeah,
brought on a lot of knowledge and really interesting albums and little anecdotes there too. So really appreciate your time coming on and stuff. We'll have to have you back at some point.
All right, great, thank you. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, we're still going to save this session, aren't we, and upload it. Cool. Well, we've got 2 of you now.
Something weird's going on. That's going to be entertaining for people watching. So I'm going to stop the recording. But thanks everyone for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to Sam's channel, Shoegazer 93. Otherwise, from me, thanks. There we go. Back to normal.
There we go.
That's going to freak. That's very shoegazy.
Anyway. Yeah, spooky by Lush.
All right. Thanks everyone. Take care.
Yeah. See you. Thanks a lot for having me. Cheers. Bye. Bye.